Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Caleb Likes Books. Today I have another book review for you, and that is for Dragonslayer by Duncan M. Hamilton. This is the first book in the Dragonslayer trilogy. This is one that I've had on my TBR for quite a while. I bought it quite a while ago. I got a physical copy of it. But I actually did this book entirely on audiobook because I've been doing more audiobooks recently through my library. And this is one that I've been trying to get on my TBR for a while, and I just never have gotten around to. So I figured now that I'm doing audiobooks, and it's a pretty short audiobook, it was about 10 hours, and I got through it a bit quicker than that because I listened to it at 1.5 times speed, so I got through it in like 7 hours or so. But since I was able to do that, and I had been trying to find a place to slot this in for a while, I figured I would just go ahead and do it now and try it out. And I did really enjoy this book. It was kind of fun to just kind of be able to read this book and have enjoyed it, because I basically bought this book on a whim because the cover is so good. I just bought it just because it looked cool, and I'm glad to say that, you know, it was a good purchase because I did enjoy this book. So as far as what I enjoyed about this book, there's several things I liked here. This book is fairly tropey, I think. It is very much what you would expect going into it. You know, the general setup of this book is that dragons have been away for a long time, and now suddenly there is one who has awoken and is back and has decided that he is going to go wreck some villages. And so that all happens, things are kind of bad, and so you have this ex-swordsman named Gio who is tasked with going and hunting down and killing this dragon. So pretty, you know, standard storyline, I think, for this kind of story. But it does get enhanced by including some other things going on. You also have this other character named Selene, who is a sorceress. And in this world, magic has basically been outlawed, so she is being hunted down in order for them to burn her at the stake because she's a witch. Gio saves her, and she ends up going and getting training in order to better use her magic in an effective way. And so she also plays into this as well, and they have some nice dynamics between each other, her and Gio. And on top of that, you also have some political stuff going on with the king and people around him and things like that. And Gio and Selene kind of get dragged into that and are kind of being used as pawns by other people in order to do their own political scheming and things like that. So this book does have a fair bit of stuff going on in it that kind of breaks it up, so it's not just Dragonslayer stuff. It is Dragonslayer stuff because that's the name of the book, but you know what I mean. It's not all about just going and killing this dragon. There is other stuff going on here, and I think that really helped kind of keep me engaged in the book. Like, I would be, you know, listening to a decent amount of Gio going off and handling things to do with going to kill the dragon, and then, you know, once that was going for a little while, then it would switch to something else, and I would be like, oh, cool new thing to kind of experience. So I did enjoy the variety that was in this book, because I think it might have suffered a little bit if it were just focused on the dragon slaying stuff. I also did, like I said, I enjoyed the characters. I think Gio and Selene as the two kind of main characters are really well done. They're not super, like, the most engaging, amazing characters ever, but I did enjoy them. I enjoyed seeing Selene being this sorceress who is kind of learning her powers and things like that, and just the attitude around magic in this world, I think, was kind of interesting, and seeing her reaction to that was interesting. And then you have Gio, who is kind of this person who has lost his family and spends most of his days drinking and things like that. He used to be a swordsman, he's not anymore, and then he's kind of called back to action in this book, and I just kind of enjoyed seeing him going through that process of getting ready, you know, kind of trying to call back on his old skills, trying to kind of move past his drinking, all these kinds of things, getting a lot about, like, his backstory and his own emotions and his feelings and things like that, which I enjoyed. Seeing his relationships with the other characters in this book was good. Even besides Selene, like, all the other characters in this book were done well, and seeing the dynamics that both of these characters had with all the other side characters, I think was well done. And I did enjoy a lot of like the character dynamics and the dialogue and things like that. Yeah, characters generally I think are done really well, and the plot I think is done pretty well, even though, you know, it's fairly tropey. It plays things relatively safe for this kind of story, but because of all the different stuff it's doing, I think it works pretty well. I enjoyed the world building in this book as well. It was probably the weakest part of the book for me, the least kind of memorable and interesting part, but I did enjoy it. You get a good sense that there is a lot of history to this world, which I only realized this after I finished the book and I was Googling it a little bit. But apparently this book actually does take place in the same world as Duncan Hamilton's other books. So I'll have to look into that as well, because that's kind of neat. So you do get a good sense that this world has seen some history and things like that, and there's some interesting allusions to the way things were in the past and things like that. It's really cool. Really enjoyed that about it. And also the magic of this world is pretty interesting to me. It's nothing like amazing, like it's not a super deep involved magic system or anything like that, but it is interesting to kind of learn a little bit about it. It's a little bit mysterious, a little bit, you know, unknown, things like that, but it's still interesting. I enjoyed learning about it and all that kind of thing, and seeing it put into effect was also really cool. So I enjoyed a lot of this stuff about this book. Generally, I think everything pretty much across the board was done pretty well. As far as things that didn't quite work for me with this book, I do think it dragged a little bit in the middle. I think, you know, there were certain sections of the book that just didn't quite grab me the same way as others, but, you know, that wasn't a huge issue. It's a pretty short book, so even the parts that dragged a little didn't go on for too long or anything. The only other thing that really bugged me about this book was the ending, which I'm not going to get too detailed in because spoilers. But I do think that the ending came on a little quick. Like, the way that I was thinking when I was getting close to the end of this book is I was getting close to the ending. I was like, man, it feels like there's certain things that have been set up early in the book that just aren't going to get paid off in this one. Maybe it's going to play out later in the trilogy, but it feels like it's going to be a little bit of an unsatisfying ending because of that. And then, you know, the ending just kind of suddenly did have those things happening, and it just felt kind of jarring. It felt kind of sudden. It felt like the ending didn't have enough time to kind of breathe and kind of have the impact that it should have. It still was well done. I still enjoyed the ending, but it's like, it felt like it came on a little too fast. I think if it had been extended a little bit longer, if there had been maybe another handful of chapters added to this book, maybe, I think that might have made it a little bit better. I don't know. That's just the way that I felt about it. But I did feel like the ending came on a little suddenly, but the ending was still well done. I still enjoyed the ending. And the very end of this book does definitely hint at some interesting things to come, so I'm definitely going to be interested to read more of this trilogy, because it does kind of leave it resolves parts of the plot, but it still leaves the door open so that you can tell, you know, this is part of a series. So I did enjoy that about it as well. So overall, I did really enjoy this book. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the plot. The world building was cool. There was some interesting just stuff going on. This political intrigue, things like that. Interesting magic. Good action as well. There's not a huge amount of action in this book, but when it's there, it's done very well. Very impactful action scenes, I think. And also one thing I also forgot to mention is I really liked that you do get a handful of POVs from the dragon's perspective, which I thought was really cool. It kind of helped me to, you know, obviously you're still going to be rooting for the people to take out this dragon because you don't want the people to all die. But it was interesting getting the perspective of the dragon so you can kind of see, okay, I see why you're kind of doing this. So that was kind of cool. And that was something that I really enjoyed kind of early on in the book, because that's like one of the first things in this book is you get the POV of the dragon, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this book. I had a good time with it. It wasn't like an amazing, mind-blowingly awesome book, but it was a really enjoyable one. I had a good time with it. I thoroughly enjoyed it basically all the way through. And yeah, so as far as a rating out of 10 that I'd give Dragonslayer, I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10, I think. It was really enjoyable, really solid, well-written, good characters, good plot, good action, all that stuff. Everything across the board generally I think was done very well. It wasn't quite done to a point where, like I said, it's one of my favorite books of all time or something, but everything is done really well, and it made for a very entertaining read, and I had a really good time with it. So that's pretty much all I got for this review. Let me know in the comments if you've read Dragonslayer before. Let me know what you thought of it, if you enjoyed it, if you didn't, whatever your thoughts may be. If you've read the full trilogy, let me know what you thought of the full trilogy. I do intend to read books 2 and 3 at some point because, you know, this one definitely piqued my interest enough to be interested in continuing. So I will be looking forward to checking out book 2 sometime, hopefully soonish, maybe. I don't know exactly, but probably sometime soon. I try not to let myself go too long between books and trilogies if I can. Since, you know, through having access to the audiobooks from the library, I do have access to all 3 of these books now, so I will probably try to get to book 2 relatively soon, maybe sometime in the next few months. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.